Hello again. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa conceded that the reason why their votes went down is because of a poor service delivery. So he also said it was a mistake to hold the elections on Monday. Ramaphosa says that branches of the party are weak and in some cases they do not even exist. So Ramaphosa said this while meeting with the Eastern Cape Provincial Executive Committee, the PEC, in Mthatha yesterday. We understand he's also still there. He's on a 2-day visit to the province to meet the ANC structures. Professor Susan Booysen, who's an analyst and the author of Precarious Power, Compliance and Discontent under Ramaphosa's ANC, joins me now live to chat a bit about this. Prof Booysen, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks indeed for your time. So I want to start here. Can this be looked at in the context of the ANC president positioning himself ahead of the party's elective conference later this year?
Well, Griselda, indeed. I think the ANC's party political leadership contests, internal ones, are absolutely inseparable at this stage of South African politics from the national politics and the national picture. President Ramaphosa has everything at stake in showing to electorate, to the voters, South Africa in general, that the ANC indeed can govern and can govern better than it has been doing in recent years, and especially also at local government level. And the ANC's performance come 2024 elections will absolutely depend on how much the ANC can improve its governance act in the next 2 years. And Cyril Ramaphosa's positioning in relation to the end of the year, National Elective Conference of the ANC, will go hand in hand with performance. We are very likely to see several high-level public opinion polls in a run-up to December this year, in a run-up to the nominations that are coming thick and fast now, or at least campaigning is coming thick and fast for the ANC branch, regional and provincial conferences. So it is bound to make a big difference.
Professor, how critical is this engagement for the ANC to self-correct, especially because in the last election, while some support may have been lost to opposition parties, the performance of the ANC was also largely in part to people simply not voting. So how important is this engagement at this time?
Well, the ANC's motivation of its supporters to go out and vote will depend to a large extent as to how much these voters believe the ANC can govern better and can make a difference, and how much ANC will respond to a vote from the electorate. And so the ANC at this stage recognizes very well that its big problem in the local government elections late last year were not so much, although to some extent, due to voters going to opposition parties, but not to a large extent. The largest problem there was indeed their voters staying away, not voting, and the turnout rate going way down. ANC realizes at this stage that to do better in future, it will have to persuade those voters who are disaffected to a large extent from the ANC, but are not voting for another political party, for an opposition party at this stage, to get them back in the ranks of the ANC's active voting population.
Persuading the population is one thing, but will all this talk by the ANC president assist the party? Because factional battles within his own political party, some argue, played a very huge role in what we see of the ANC today.
Yes, that is such a big problem for the ANC. The fact that the contests are unfolding inside the ANC, and Ramaphosa is an undisputed candidate at this stage, and those who are trying to oppose him are often not coming in with perfect track records. We see that, for example, in the case of KwaZulu-Natal, there are many reports today in the media as to KwaZulu-Natal, parts of the KwaZulu-Natal mobilizing in favor of Zweli Mkhize. And despite him having been pushed into a step aside because there are charges of him, his followers are saying that there's nothing in the constitution that says that the candidate cannot stand because he hasn't got a court judgment against him. And this symbolizes the problem that the ANC has. The contests have to unfold, and yet Ramaphosa is not going uncontested. Ramaphosa's ANC is not going uncontested in that there's not a general acceptance across the ANC that, yes, this is the way to go in order to show to the electorate truth that the ANC is serious about cleaning up its act and it can indeed successfully do renewal and rebuilding of the organization.
I mean, how does this fare? In particular, because you've had the ANC president, talk about renewal. If we look back to, I think it was just last weekend, where you had the former president of the ANC, Thabo Mbeki, the former president of the country, also in the Free State, where the issue of unity and renewal is largely spoken about, and how the ANC needs to clean up itself ahead, of course, of the general election, which will be next. How does this fare? In particular, if you look at instances like where you talk about these reports of those rallying behind the former health minister, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, despite some of these issues that have been put implicating him in serious issues of alleged corruption.
Yes, indeed, Griselda. The big mantra of the ANC nowadays is renewal and rebuilding, and yet there is so much that flies in the face of that. There's so much that is not being achieved, and the ANC generally is not doing well at this stage in terms that it cannot definitively act in many cases. It has to await legal and prosecutorial processes. In other cases, it is an unwillingness in its own ranks to really be assertive about those who have been implicated and to take the next steps to ensure that the next steps are being facilitated, because there's always a fear that they will be accused of purging, factional purging, etc. So overall, there is a lot of speak about it, a lot of pronouncements, and yet the actions are not living up to all the good words that are being spoken at this stage.
Prof, thank you very much indeed for your time. We always appreciate you here on the program. Professor Susan Booysen, analyst and author of Precarious Power, Compliance and Discontent under Ramaphosa's ANC.